welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. We hope that you guys enjoyed your holiday weekend, your Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend's always been kind of weird to me because I'm not a member of a labor party or a labor union or a labor anything. And, you know, if you go around the world outside of the United States and you are a member, when you say the word labor, I'm a member of the Labor Party, or I support labor. You know, you go over to England, and they're like, oh, we support labor. And I don't know if they put a U in it or not, because they're kind of weird over there. But to me, the Labor Party represents communism, represents collectivism. And if you think collectivism is a good thing in the United States, you need to flush out your head and need to pay a little closer attention to everything outside of your own doors. This is what I found with the Labor Party. And if this offends you, you can suck it and go somewhere else because it's the truth. And if you don't want to hear the truth, go listen to NPR. If you want to hear propaganda, that's what you can do. Folks, anytime you throw in with the collective, okay, communism has failed everywhere in the world that it's tried, but it's so intellectually lazy, or the people that apply it are so intellectually lazy that they just want to, well, I know that it failed in Russia and the former Soviet Union, and that right now Venezuela is imploding. People are in, a shining, glittering jewel of South American communism, of socialism, of collectivism. People are rioting for food. Oh, but I suppose that's my fault, right? I suppose it's your fault. I suppose it's the people. It's the evil capitalists. That's why they're rioting for... No, morons. Folks, here's what I found with the labor movement is it's extremely selfish. It is an extremely selfish movement. It's how can I get away with the least amount of work possible and still keep my job? And if you're still here, if you haven't, stomped your feet and walked out of the room, good. Because this is a place you're going to hear the truth. And if you're like, oh, what's your truth? The truth is the truth. You know, just because you refuse to acknowledge something does not mean it is not the truth. And here's what we've got today. We've got, I hope that you enjoyed the Best of Student of the Gun Radio yesterday. Believe it or not, we were laboring. Even though we didn't put a new radio show up, it was because Jared was working on the soon-to-be-released Student of the Gun 24/7 grad program.
We will be having the beta testers starting the testing very soon, so you guys pay attention to that.
So Jared was in his office all day Monday working on the new website. I was actually in the studio Duracoating, and we're going to have pictures of really super cool Duracoat items. We went out Saturday, and we shot the ever-living crap out of the Century RPK. And some other guns as well. We've got some ninja footage of that. Dude, Jared, tell me how much fun it was shooting that Go Fast gun from the Student of the Gun Technical.
It was the most fun I've ever had with my clothes on.
All right. Without further ado, I've got a special guest. He's very, very patiently hanging on the line right now. And, of course, if you read the show notes, you know who it is. But before we do that, before we jump in to the conversation that Ben and I are going to have, and Jared as well, obviously, I'm going to take a moment to thank our sponsors, because if I don't, I know once this roller coaster, we're kind of ticking up the hill right now, and once we crest that hill, we're not going to stop. So thank you very much to Velocity Triggers, designed for precision. Check those guys out at velocitytriggers.com. Crossbreed Holsters at crossbreedholsters.com. If you're not carrying a gun because your holster is uncomfortable and it digs into your side, or you take it off as quickly as humanly possible, it could be because you have a crappy holster. And the way to solve that problem is to go to crossbreedholsters.com. SWAT Fuel, it just works. No, that's not it. Frog Lube, it just works. SWAT Fuel is special weapons and tactics for the body.
It does just work.
It just does work. It helps you cut weight and all that good jazz. For all of you out there thinking, come on, I need a little something extra, or I've plateaued, or what's going to help me get over, check out SWAT Fuel at swatfuel.com. And do me a favor, do yourself a favor. When you go there, use the promo code SOTG2015. And Jared, no, I'm not on SWAT Fuel right now.
Surprising.
I just took the 40 cal multivitamin.
You guys that are listening on 1.5 speed, it's probably very interesting for you.
That is just weird. So use the promo code SOTG2015 at SWATfuel.com. Now, Frog Lube, it just works. And we took our new Century C39 RPK. And, it's really ironic that we just did an in-depth test of the RPK, and Ben is hanging online because the first chance we got to put our hands on one of these, Ben was there. And he was doing stuff like throwing it in the mud and standing on it. And, the underfolder, too. We tested the underfolder. I didn't jump on it in a mud puddle like Ben did. We didn't have a mud puddle to jump into. It was dry and sandy. But, we frog looped up all our guns, and they ran really well. Even the you want to know the test of a lubricant? Put it in a Go Fast gun. Put it in a fun gun, in a butta gun. And if it runs, then you'll know. So Frog Lube, it just works, froglube.com. Century Arms, check out their website. And their promotion, the $25 rebate on the Canik TP9 SA, and we shot our TP9 SAs, too, at the range on Saturday. That's going to be ending soon. So if you want to jump in on that, now is the time. He who hesitates has lost. Brownells at brownells.com. And where can you get Duracoats can technology?
At brownells.com.
You can get it from Brownells. That's crazy talk. By the time when you put a Duracoat camouflage finish, or at least when I do, I usually let the coats set up for like a whole day before I put the next one on. So it's a couple-day process. So it may be midweek before I can put pictures up, but go to Instagram, Student of the Gun Instagram, Student of the Gun Facebook, gundistrict.com. Hey, listen up, hippies. You guys are doing a fantastic job with Gun District. We are blowing the doors off. But there's still a couple of doors left on the wagon, and I want you, you're like, I was going to go over there, but I keep forgetting because, all right, put the radio show on pause, go over to Gun District, member, whatever you do, thumbs up, tweet them. I don't know what you social people do, but just go to gundistrict.com, find our page, give us a star or a thumbs up or whatever, and let those guys know that you appreciate 100% pro-Second Amendment social media. And we're pushing, like I said, Gun District is relatively new, and they're kind of in their infancy. And like the Student of the Gun page right now is pushing 500. We're not quite to 500 members. Is that what it is, Jim?
I have no idea.
They refer to them as members, not likes or whatever. So get over there, you freaks, and push us over the 500 mark. There you go. That is your marching orders for today. And then you can go back to doing your regular work. All right, Jared, is that enough? Did we cover everybody? We talked about all that?
I believe we did.
All right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend and yours, Ben Mookie Thomas. Ben, are you there?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
We are fantastic. And, we played it last week. Jared just pulled the audio from the Crusader Rifle promo video, and we dropped it into it was Thursday's show, wasn't it, Jared?
Yeah.
We dropped it into Thursday's show, so it was kind of just like a 2-minute teaser. We had no idea when we did that on Thursday. Was that the first day it was available?
Yeah. I believe so.
It was either Wednesday or Thursday, right, Ben?
It was either Wednesday or Thursday.
Because by Friday, everyone had lost their collective minds.
Yes.
It took about all of maybe 24 hours for people to lose their collective minds in America. But when you and I were sitting together, well, all three of us actually, you told us about the Crusader Rifle and basically the meeting where it happened or where the idea was hatched. Tell the Student of the Gun audience a little bit about how the Crusader Rifle from Spikes Tactical, how that idea was hatched.
I had been hired by Spikes last February to be their brand ambassador. And I drove to work my first day on the job. It's almost a 3-hour drive. And believe it or not, I actually listen to NPR a great deal. Even though I disagree with them politically on almost every angle, I find the discussions to at least be interesting. And they were reporting from Syria about ISIS, and specifically how ISIS was using American-made weapons paid for by American tax dollars to murder Christians. And this got my blood boiling. And I'm all worked up. I'm hopped up on espresso, and I go in, and it's my first day, and I want to make a good impression. And my boss says, we want to do a new rifle. We'd like your input on it. Now, he's probably thinking about barrel length and gas systems and all this other stuff I don't care about. I said, I want a gun that if a Muslim terrorist touches it, a bolt of lightning knocks him dead right on the spot. That's what I want. Can we do it? And this is, after many meetings, as close as we're going to get to it. There's a lot of technology and laws in the way.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Since this is not the Student of the Gun bonus hour, and since Ben has been coached to not say things like camel jockeys or booger eaters or goat rapists, I'll go ahead and say those things. I'll go ahead and say goat rapist. So essentially, the idea was to create a rifle, to make a rifle that no Islamo-fascist goat rapist would ever put their hands on. If they put, I mean, you did everything except, like, did you coat it in bacon grease?
No.
I would lube the bowl with bacon grease.
We wanted to make this gun. We didn't want to sound like that idiot in Florida who made it, who banned Muslims from his property. We didn't want to come off as bigots. We wanted to create a product that would start a discussion amongst reasonable Americans. Because I've already convinced my friends about the dangers of Islamic immigration in America. It's time to get the other 90% of America on board, or we're just going to be on an island yelling at each other. And I couldn't do that with bacon grease because it just comes off as too childish to most of America. Yeah, whereas putting a simple Bible verse and a cross on a weapon, which accomplishes the same task, makes them scratch their heads and say, well, how is this bigoted and why are they upset?
Well, we didn't get to that point, though. Tell the audience what that is. What is the verse that is making people so angry and upset and hurting their little apple carts?
Well, quite simply, it's Psalm 144:1. And we have a on the other side of the lower or the lower receiver, we have a Christian cross on a shield commemorating the Crusades.
So it's a Crusader's cross, and
that's right.
Now, there's lots of different interpretations. Obviously, you have a King James version, you have the New Version, and so forth. And I'm not even sure which this version is, but I just pulled up a poster, and it's actually a Crusader, a knight of the Crusades, and he's kneeling. And it says, "Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my arms for battle, who prepares my hands for war. He is my love, my fortress. He is my stronghold, my savior, my shield, my place of refuge." Now, that is 1 and 2. One itself is... trains my arms for battle and prepares my hands for war.
Yeah, we went with who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle, which I believe is the new translation of the King James.
Okay, so it'd be like the New American Standard Version or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But it all means the same. Now tell me about the select. I'm a geek, and the selector switch verbiage. There's three. You've got three different settings on yours, and what are they?
Oh man, this always happens when I'm on an interview somewhere and they don't have it in front of me. I brain fart for the whole thing. It's actually Latin on one side and English on the other. It's
peace.
I
peace.
Can't remember.
The safety one is peace, and then the semi is bellum, meaning war. And
then God wills it.
And then the third one is the Latin for God wills it.
Yes.
I love that. I saw you guys. Now, you released actually just Crusader lowers for sale all by themselves, did you not?
That was an accident. That was it.
Was it a factory accident?
I came to work one day, and I go, why are these on the market? We're building rifles, not lowers, and we the Mookie wagon was not connected to the operations wagon at the time, and we let those out. Those are going to be collector's items.
Oh yeah, because I looked and I saw those. I'm like, holy crap, they did that already! And then I went the next day and it's like sold out. Item is out of stock.
They're gone. They are gone.
Okay, the Latin translation for God wills it is Deus vult illud. So DEUS VULT ILLUD. So there you go. I have to get one of those and put a 3-stage trigger in it. You know that awesome. That one Go Fast company. We have a trigger sponsor, so I'm not gonna crap on our trigger sponsor. But there is a company out there that makes a civilian legal everything's civilian legal if you pay enough money to the government. But They have a non-tax stamp 3-stage trigger. I guess that's the best way to describe it. You know, you can either do the tax stamp version or the non-tax stamp version. So, but I just love that. Now, are you gonna? You do have the 3. Are you going to make limited edition or like special class 3s for people?
Let me get to that real quick. I'm going to talk to all you little gun nerds out there, you little gun geeks. Over 1,400 people have commented or liked a comment about how I incorrectly call our guns assault rifles. Let me tell you something. We make machine guns at Spikes Tactical. We make assault rifles. We also make semi-automatic. The ones that you see, okay, are semi-automatic. But more to the point is, when you're discussing the black rifle with Democrats, and they keep using this word assault rifle. Now, you're correct when you tell them it's not an assault rifle. You're factually correct. But you sound like Bill Clinton trying to deny that he had sex with Monica Lewinsky. That's how ridiculous you sound. We are not going to run from these Democrats. We make assault rifles for the American citizen. We will not call it anything else. We're going to embrace it. We're going to change the meaning of the word assault.
You mean that you encourage people to use a rifle to fight with the rifle?
It's an assault rifle
as a tool.
I don't even want you to hunt with this rifle.
You want people to hold it in their hands and actually fight for their freedom and liberties.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's crazy.
Next time a Democrat calls it an assault rifle, high five them. Stand by and 5. All right. I mean, I'm being silly, but I'm actually really
serious.
They have no idea how ridiculous they sound to the other 50 million people in the conversation when they go, it's not an assault rifle, it's actually semi-automatic. Google it. They sound ridiculous.
You mean
absolutely
it's not
absurd?
Is it a modern? Do you make modern sporting rifles at Spikes Tactical?
No, we don't. We make assault rifles for the American citizen.
All right. Well, now we've laid the foundation for the audience. For those of us, or for those in our audience who actually have jobs, who actually don't watch CNN or any of the news cycle, they may not know that you really kicked the crybaby hornet's nest on Wednesday or Thursday when you released that. It was a 3-minute video, 2-3 minute, whatever. It was a pretty short video, but it was just a promo.
Yes,
it was professionally done promotion. This is the new rifle. This is Ben Thomas telling you what it's all about. Well, people freaked. Crybaby liberals across America and their sycophants in the press, and of course the reasonable Muslims that we're supposed to listen to because they just want to be part of America, they have a problem with it. Now, Ben, tell us how your weekend went.
Well, first, real quick, let me address that thing about reasonable. I have a couple hundred Muslim friends on Facebook, people that I worked with shoulder to shoulder in Iraq and Afghanistan, actually fighting terrorists together. They're good people. I don't share their faith in any way, but they don't want to come to my country and mess with mine, so we're cool. Not one of them sent me a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, Ben, what the F?" None of them said that. No one unfriended me. They don't care. They respect my beliefs in my country and my homeland. The people who are butthurt, the hundreds of complaints, middle-aged, white liberals, butthurt on someone else's behalf. It's the Joneses from Warren, Ohio. It's somebody from Hollywood. They're upset on someone's behalf. The people who have not actually been perceived to have been insulted in the least are the most upset.
That's exactly what we get with when we talk about women or female issues or whatever. We get not women. Jared, how often do we actually have women write in and complain to us?
0.
Never.
Never.
It's always a guy writing in, telling us how we need to be. We had one guy wrote in and says, "Well, I've been listening to the show, but you need to be more. What did he say? Female friendly or
sensitive
woman
to women or something?"
He said more woman friendly. Oh. And so that was a special episode that we did from.
What did they want you to do? Put a kitchen in?
That's what we did. We did the special episode from the kitchen, and then because to try and be more woman friendly, and he wrote in and.
We had 0 female complaints from that one.
Yeah, 0 female complaints. It's all these metrosexuals jumping in on, I'm offended on their behalf, and I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah. Well, you just described NPR to a T.
Yeah. It
scurrying around the world like rats trying to get upset for someone else.
So how many people were upset with you, and where was Ben Thomas's face and voice heard and seen over the last weekend?
Well, the number in terms of we retained a public relations company, Judge PR, out of Tampa, to help us manage. Once you have hit global hate status, you need a public relations team, and they've been excellent for us. So Judge PR has a system to track. It's kind of like a Bloomberg terminal for stockbrokers, only this is for media management, and we're well over 2 million people who have heard my side of the story in terms of in regards to the Crusader rifle. It's in 7 different languages, so there's really, and that was Friday morning, so we're probably well into about 20 million at this point.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So now you got phone calls from media outlets, is that correct? People wanted to, on Friday were trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Would you care to comment?
Yeah, we got
kind of a
phone
thing?
calls. We had people show up with satellite trucks at the shop.
Dude,
yeah, it was like off a
you
movie.
can't buy that.
One day we're just a small family-owned business in Apopka, Florida, which is next to the Dagobah system in nowhere, and all of a sudden we had national news crews out there wanting to get me to say something stupid on national television.
Oh, that is so awesome. So tell you when we talked on Friday to kind of lay the groundwork for today's show, you told me that there was a couple of groups that were personally offended, and they used the term hate speech.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, the Coalition of Arab Islamic Relations, which is basically the mouthpiece for Muslims in America, decried our. I don't mean to misquote them. I don't have it in front of my face, but it's hate speech, that this is divisive and hateful. It is a single psalm and a Christian cross on my product that you don't have to buy. They said that we're encouraging violence against Muslims. I would tell you that 99% of the violence against Muslims on earth is perpetrated by the other Muslims. So they need to worry about something else.
Is that kind of like Chicago, Ben?
Yeah.
That kind of like,
yeah.
Yeah. Our friends in the African American community, and the ones who are not our friends, who get out and cry the loudest about how, the cops are killing black people and whitey's killing black people. It's like, well, why don't you go to Chicago and come back and tell me who is killing all these young black men? It's not me.
The leading
it's
cause of death
cops.
for African American males in America is murder by other African American males. But that's not interesting to people. That doesn't create a villain.
No, and it's in what you're spot on. That is exactly who's killing and murdering and torturing Muslims across the world. Other Muslims. It's not Jews and Christians. It's not Buddhist monks. Who is in northern Iraq and Syria cutting off people's heads? Like it's
right.
It's not those guys in the orange robes from Vietnam. No. I've got the story. I got the story from Breitbart. I just opened up the story, and this is awesome. It says, "Care, Crusader rifle is quote, damn you pop-up ad, son of a." Do you love that or do you hate it? Do you love it or do you hate it? I love
pop-up ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love money.
According to Care, and this is. Seriously, are you freaking kidding me? I like Breitbart.com, but sweet Buddha, I want to read the headline. Stop popping up ads on me. Care, Crusader rifle is, quote, a shameful marketing ploy that promotes hatred, division, and violence. So let's go down that road for a second. All of you people out there who are relatively new, who consider yourself reasonable people, all of you who've ever been in a group that said, every group of people has their extremists. and every group of people have, some people. Let's look at the Westboro Baptist Church. You know what? The Westboro Baptist Church is about 24 morons. And when the Westboro Baptist Church starts dragging people out in the streets and cutting their heads off, then come talk to me how the Westboro Baptist Church is the same as ISIS. I'm not running down that road. But for all of you Muslim apologists, you know the definition of a Muslim extremist, right, Ben? A Muslim extremist. A Muslim extremist wants to cut your head off. A moderate Muslim wants the Muslim extremist to cut your head off. When they start cleaning up their own, you're a military veteran, Ben. Do you remember the term policing the ranks, or police your own?
Yeah.
In this, in the civilian world, the citizen world, we don't use the word police very often, other than talking about the guys in the polyester blue uniforms. When most people say the word police, they don't realize that to police as a verb means to clean up, to straighten up, to fix things. Yeah. When I was in the Marine Corps, we're like, all right, police call, police the area. Yep. You and I both know what that means, and clean up. If you had problems in your platoon, you and I both know that if an NCO or a chief or a CPO or whatever, if they had to get involved in the unit's problems, it was going to be bad for everybody. Kind of like right in the Marine Corps, if the staff sergeant has to come down into the platoon and straighten out the fire teams, if he has to fix things, if it gets to that point, everyone's going to be punished. Everyone's going to suffer.
People are going to be sorry.
Yeah, so you need the term police your own ranks. Because if I have to get involved in it, it's gone too far. When I hear people talk about moderate Muslims and, Paul, they're only 1% or 2% of all are extremists or blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so there's 10 million, 20 million, 50 million. So do the math. So let's just say 50 million and 1%. That's a lot of people running around that want to cut your head off. When there's 500,000 people that think it's a good idea to cut your head off with a rusty knife in the middle of the street. Yeah.
If CARE is worried about Muslim lives, why don't they have rifles on their way to Syria?
Well, because we can't defeat an ideology with guns and bullets. We have to defeat an ideology with words and feelings. Don't you know? Didn't you learn anything from Comrade Barry? Okay, on September 2nd, Breitbart News reported that Spike's Tactical Crusader rifle, a rifle etched with a Bible verse and a cross in hopes of keeping Muslim terrorists from handling or using the weapons. On September 3rd, the Huffington and Puffington Post peed their collective panties and reported that the Florida chapter of the Council of American and Islamic Relations described the rifle as shameful and that it stirs up hatred, division, and violence. CARE also claimed that there have been 250 mass shootings in America alone.
In 2015 alone.
In 2015 alone, only one of which was credited to a Muslim gunman. What? Okay, how many of those nut jobs in New York, Toronto, et al., the dude at the packing plant in Oklahoma, so he didn't use a black rifle to kill people. He was running around screaming Aloha snack bar and cutting their heads off with a knife. And that makes him less dead.
The basis of that doesn't even matter. The basis of the rifle came from Mookie listening to the world news. It wasn't about what's in America. It's about fighting them outside
according
of America.
According to CARE, if you cut somebody's head off with a knife, apparently they're less dead than if you shoot them with a black rifle. Does that make sense to you, Ben?
Not at all.
No. So, but and you and I had a discussion on Friday, and listen up, America. Listen up, student of the gun audience. Tell your friends this. Pay attention. The mouthpiece for the moderate Muslims in America, and we know that's a lie. You and I all know that CARE is a front organization, basically trying to apologize for every heinous act committed by a Muslim across the world. But what they're saying is the use of a Christian Bible verse and the image of the cross is, quote, hatred, division, and violence. So did we just have the reps from the Muslim world telling us that they view the Bible as hate speech? Is that what I just read? So, I mean, it seems
absolutely. And I expect nothing less from people who live in the darkness of Islam.
Oh wow, dude! Did you know that you're quoted in the story in the Breitbart story? You're not surprised. Oh, here we go. It's like paragraph 3 or 4. It says the words of Psalm 144:1. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. And can we go ahead and give an acknowledgement to our friends at Pipe Hitters Union?
Absolutely.
Because Lawrence got out way ahead of this. He's been out ahead of it for about a month or more, right? Because they released the shirts with Psalm 144 about a month ago.
Yes.
So,
and that's actually a pure coincidence. Just a happy coincidence.
It had nothing to do with everybody knowing you.
It's funny. He and I, we could be sitting, talking and drinking in the wee hours, and then 4 months later, I see him or he sees me do something that I remember the impetus might have been a discussion we had, with you guys, for example. But, to say that we collaborated on it wouldn't be accurate. Although I wore that shirt proudly in many an interview. And I want to say this, the happy side effect of this, I was on a radio show called Mad Cow, The Bone, something like that.
Oh, the guy from Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read the Psalm to millions of people who wouldn't otherwise have heard God's word that week.
Yep.
And that has been the single greatest blessing of this whole event.
That is awesome.
So people actually, dude, it is amazing to me.
Huffington Post put the Psalm 144:1 in its entirety in their article. Huffington Post.
Nothing
All
like
these liberals are forced to read God's word. So enjoy, hippies.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. It's oh. Yeah, so in the inner, it has the psalm, and then it says, along that, the AR-15 safety lever are in Latin words, pax, passus, bellum, and deus vult, meaning peace, war, and God wills it. Peace is the gun's safe, while war is the gun's fire position. And then for the go fast option, it's God wills it. That is so freaking fantastic. Oh, and they went and they got of course they went and they're like, they got Yusuf al-Abdi's Abuziz whatever here, and they're like oh, the CARE says something about increasing the discrimination. Here we go. CARE responded to how long this is saying such discrimination is not only illegal, is bad for the country, and makes us feel less safe. There we go. That's what we want to worry about. Is we want to really worry in the United States. Our greatest care today, is whether or not Muslim Americans or Muslim extremists or illegal aliens and invaders, whether or not they feel safe. Maybe we should go like all over the world. Maybe we could go to that all-girls school in Africa, in West Africa, where the Boko Haram. Now, aren't they Muslim extremists? Where they pulled people out and slaughtered them in the street in front of the school because the girls went to school. And in Islam, you don't do that. You don't play that game. We don't educate women. So maybe if CARE is so concerned about the feeling of safety, maybe they could go to Africa where people are afraid to educate their daughters, where they're afraid to go into a church because some Muslim missionaries might come in and slaughter the whole church.
This is just a guess, but I would assume that CARE has pretty much no authority anywhere else other than the United States.
Nobody gives a crap about them anywhere else, I'm sure. But we're so weak that we give the spineless, the vile, and the filthy, we give them voices in America because that's just the right thing to do. Everybody has to have a voice, even if they're promoting the destruction of the nation. What the heck? That's just fair. So anything else you want to say about this?
I want to thank all of you for your support. Even gonna look, I get it. Christianity is my faith. Our business is faith. There are many, many good atheists, but I just want to remind you out there, if you're an atheist, that's cool. You still like Christmas lights. I know you like hot cocoa in the winter, and they're coming here to destroy that. So while you might find my faith, something to chuckle at, whatever, more power to you. Just remember that we're united in this, and that I don't want to change your way of life. I don't want to impose my religious beliefs on your day-to-day life, but that's not true for other people. And I also want to say thank you to my bosses who have been absolutely supportive, who, when all the media claps down us, could have very reasonably just let me go, made a statement. We let Mookie go and separated themselves from this issue, but they embraced me and they protected me. So I'm loyal Spikes for life.
I think a lot of our audience, student of the gun audience, gun people, they may have heard of Spikes Tactical, but now they're really going to hear it. Spikes Tactical does a lot of very innovative, cool stuff, and because Spikes is a smaller company, they can and will do things that other larger companies won't. You will never get a Crusader rifle from Remington. You'll never get a Crusader rifle from Smith & Wesson, from Colt, from any of the big gun makers. That's not saying anything bad against them, but the fact is they're so big. They have the board, and then they have stockholders, and they have all this, and they have all these considerations. So they'll never do anything that's different, unique, cool, ferocious, because everything has to be run through the political correct, thing. There's no way that you would get that from a large manufacturer because, quite frankly, they would be too afraid to offend, so they just wouldn't do it. And when you go to Spike's website, you see all these crazy things. What was the one that we talked about, and we didn't even realize that Spikes had a lower receiver, and it was exactly the topic of and people were sending us pictures of
the honey badger.
The honey badger, yeah, no kidding, the honey badger. Yeah, it's like you would never get a honey badger rifle from a Remington or a Ruger or whatever. But Spike can do that because they are a small company, and I'm assuming that they don't have like 57 members of a board who all have to have their say before you produce a product.
No, we've got a husband and a wife. That's it.
There you go. Excellent. All right. Well, Jared's got some questions from our audience, and Jared, go ahead and hit them up.
All right. I posted this in the grad program Facebook group. It's specifically for grad program members. So they have some questions for Mookie here. And the first one is from Jonathan Harris. He says, what are the odds of him giving one? No, I'm going to stop that question right there. The reason that they made this rifle, you need to support that cause. Go buy one. But so next question. Mookie's not going to give a rifle to anybody. Lauren Hudson said,
I don't have the power to give a rifle to anyone. I'm the brand ambassador. Everyone's confused me for someone of importance.
Especially the news media, right?
Right.
Lauren Hudson says, what was your favorite thing about helping build the Crusader?
Spreading the word of God to America. That's undoubtedly. Awesome. Camden Mafia for life.
All right. Kenny Ortega says, will there be a separate lower available at some point?
Initially, what we were trying to do with this rifle from a business standpoint, no, remember, we were building a rifle first for our business, which feeds 40 families, keeps lots of people employed, pays taxes, is to get into the rifle business. We're probably number one or number two in terms of parts manufacturer for the United States. Whether or not people know it or not, we are the parts company. And we wanted to get into the rifle business. And so we actually are not releasing the lower. We're doing complete rifle only for the Crusader. But there, of course, is a tremendous demand for the lower. We'd like to encourage you to buy the rifle. But we may consider selling lowers at some other point, but not right now. No.
Okay. Jonathan Harris has a serious question. He says, what would Mookie tell the Muslim Coalition if he could address them personally?
Oh, they actually reached out to me. They called me. And let me say this, of course, I couldn't speak to them at the time. I was getting 50 calls for interviews. Very polite, exactly what you would expect from them. Very nice, very polite, non-threatening, just wanted to have dialogue. Mm-hmm. What I would say to them, and what I will say to them is, they need to focus their energies. If they're concerned about Muslims and their rights and whatnot, they need to focus their energy on ISIS and Muslim extremists because they're murdering Muslims. Christians aren't.
Okay.
Police your own.
Police your own.
You already answered this question. 0 Muslim friends have contacted him about it. Robert D. That's what I'll just say that. I really like the motivation and creation of this rifle. What is going to be his next step? So what's your next step?
Trying to keep my job.
Any handguns? No, they got into rifles. Okay, so here we go. This is a good question. Jared Logic says, I honestly can't find a scriptural basis for why a Muslim would be unable to use the rifle. I understand they would probably not purchase it in the same way I, as a Jew, wouldn't, but I don't understand the reason they couldn't pick it up and use it for a theological standpoint. What's his basis for that claim?
Okay, well, he's not a Quranic scholar. I'm not a Quranic scholar, but he hit on the impetus. Okay, I wouldn't buy a rifle, or if given a choice, touch a rifle that had Hebrew on it any more than I would Arabic, the Quran or the Talmud. I'm a Christian, and if there are 10 rifles in a room, I'm going to pick up the one that speaks to my faith. Now, specifically, it depends on the sect of Islamic faith these people practice and how dutifully they adhere to it. I have Muslim friends who eat pork. I have Jewish friends who eat pork. But, as you get down to the more intently in practicing, they're more disciplined. And I will tell you that a disciplined Muslim will not touch anything with that as they see it, perverts the word of God. And they believe that both the Christian Bible and the Jewish Torah and their other texts pervert the word of God. And if given a choice, they will not touch it. Keep in mind, this product is more to create debate, to create dialogue, to make people think. And I think your little friend here, whatever his name is coming at it a little too matter of fact for the message.
Hashtag Mushroom Cloud?
Yeah, I think so too.
All
right, last one. Ryan Heffer, where did he come up with the steak and sizzle line?
Did I say steak and sizzle somewhere? Everyone's like,
yeah, dude.
Me,
yeah, you said it. You said it in the promo video.
I don't remember saying that.
In the promo video, you're like, oh, the nickel boron this and the length this. And he's like, that's all. I don't remember what he said. That's all something, but this is all sizzle.
That's the steak.
Or no, he said that's all sizzle and this is all steak or something like that.
Oh, I came up with it off the cuff, evidently.
That's funny.
That's just part of your vernacular. You don't even think about saying it. Yeah.
I didn't even know I said that.
You know the difference between Muslims that wouldn't touch it and ones that would. I got a great. I'm sure you probably have encountered this too, Mook. You go to a restaurant and there are Muslims that will try and force the restaurant not to serve pork because it offends them, and there are others that will just go there and they won't order it.
Yeah. Those are the Muslims that I'm happy to be neighbors with. In fact, those are the Muslims that populate the world. I've lived in Arab countries. I've lived in Arab Muslim countries, African Muslim countries. Bulk of them want to mind their own business. And I'm cool with them. And they're cool with me.
They just need to police their own. And, it's radical Islam. The thing that CARE won't admit is the fact that radical Islam is destroying it for the rest of us. And the fact is that you've got a bunch of, I guess, sympathizers that are just sitting on their hands and hoping that the problem is going to fix itself. Or someone else should fix it, but not them.
Well, here's something to think about, guys. Now, in the news today, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Syrian refugees heading all over Europe, being forced down the throats of formerly Anglicanized Christian Europe. What are they running from?
Yeah, why are they there?
They're running from Muslim. They're running from Islam. Islam, the people who practice Islam, as it is truly taught, are devouring other Muslims. And the moderate Muslims are running for their lives to where? traditionally Christian homelands for the
crazy.
security and safety we provide,
But-
for the human decency that we show.
But Christians are all bigots, and they want to force you to do what they say. They want to force you to live like them. Didn't you know that, Ben?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I suffer it every day.
All right, my friend, I know that you have family commitments. Hey, listen up, Student of the Gun hippie audience. We recorded this on Monday, which was the holiday, which was the Labor Day. And we appreciate Ben taking the time. We appreciate Mrs. Ben allowing you to break away from your family obligations to yak with us on the phone.
Thank you so much, guys.
And please say hello and hug your wonderful child. Your child is like the cutest. Do you have him? Does he have a modeling contract yet? Because he's like the cutest little creature on the planet.
No, he's already a cocky little prick. So.
And he comes by that 100% naturally.
Yes, he
Honestly.
does.
All right, Ben. Well,
Guys, thank
thank
for
you
having
very
me.
much for
Student
spending
of the
some time.
Gun, I love you guys.
And we love you too. And we should. You know what?
Everybody loves Mookie. If you don't love Mookie, you're wrong.
Ben, don't
Yes.
forget you need to send me the address because I need to send you signed copies of the Faith and the Patriot book, and you haven't sent me the address.
I'm excited to read it.
He's going to send me a text as soon as he gets off the phone.
There you go. Sounds good.
I will.
All right, brother. Have a good day. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. God
you.
bless America.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's our good friend Ben Mookie Thomas, and that's yet another person that we met through a friend of a friend, and we're very fortunate, Jared and I, and I am because I've been at it longer than Jared has, to have friends that you haven't met yet. There's a lot of people in the world that I consider friends that I have not yet met, and you're like, that's kind of a weird thing. Well, actually, when you run in the circles that we run in, people are pre-vetted, and if you don't know what that means, I don't know what to tell you. Go back to school. But the people are, like, for instance, Ben Thomas was pre-vetted to me, and for me to him by James Yeager. I had heard about him, and I heard Ben Thomas stories and Mookie stories and so forth, but it wasn't until this last year that we actually met, and we were at a group meeting up there at Camden at Tactical Response, and James says, "Hey, you need to meet my friend Ben," and Ben's like, "Oh yeah, Yeager talked about you," and I said, "Oh yeah, Yeager talked about you," and that's all it took. Same thing with our friend E.J. Thomas or E.J. Owens. Not E.J. Thomas. There may be an E.J. Thomas somewhere in the world, but E.J. Owens, same thing. We are like pre-vetted. Essentially, if someone I hope that you have friends in your life that if someone vouches, if that friend vouches for another person, that person is good to go. And we just do that all the time, and Ben is one of those guys. Ben's a former U.S. Navy SEAL. I don't know if they call himself former SEALs or whatever, but he was a SEAL. He's done a ton of contracting. And quite frankly, like most pipe hitters, he was tired of going back overseas. And through a friend of a friend, he got introduced to Spikes Tactical, and the rest is, as they say, history. Now he is the spokesmouth for Spikes, and he can never, I don't know if he realizes it, but he can now never go back. Do you think that he realizes that, Jared? That he can never go back to anonymity again?
Yeah.
It's anonymity for him is over with. But folks, I'm going to tell you this. Yesterday we did the best of, and we did the time to choose sides, and apparently some people didn't quite understand that. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. If you're brand new, if you just listened to this episode because you saw that the Crusader title or the Ben Mookie Thomas, you may be a little bit confused. In the world today, we have tens of thousands, if not millions, of people that are super concerned about the opinions of strangers. And they're very, very worried that a stranger, that someone they've never met, is not going to like them or is not going to agree with them or what have you. And so what they do is they allow evil to exist. When you do nothing, when you sit quietly and allow evil to carry on, you are culpable. And folks, in the United States of America, we have far too many people that have the opinion that, well, I don't have a dog in that fight, so I'm just going to say nothing. Or I don't want people to think that I'm I'm a bigot, or I'm a racist, or I'm a Islamophobic or something. Folks, if you don't stand up, if you don't make your voice heard, if you don't say, no, you don't get to come to America and make the rules. You're like, Paul, you're a son of an immigrant. Everyone's a son of an immigrant. But you know what my immigrant grandparents and great-grandparents and ancestors did? They didn't come here and try and turn this place into Germany. They didn't come here and try and turn it into Scotland. They didn't come here and walk to a government office, fill out a form, and say, where's my free money? That's what we have today. We have people today who are coming to the United States of America, and rather than embracing the Constitution, the founding, they're coming here to get free stuff and to try and force everyone else to live like it was in their country. That's crap. And that's what CARE is all about. CARE is all about forcing you to shut your mouth and allow Muslims, Muslim immigrants, Muslim invaders to change your cities and towns into the way they were back in wherever the heck they came from. Syria, Iraq, Iran, what have you. That's not what America is all about. Oh, America's the great melting pot, and our strength is our diversity. Crap. Our strength is not our diversity, you moron. And if you hear someone say, America's strength is in its diversity, smack them, because they are an idiot and they need to get their head right. America's strength is in liberty. Yeah. Do you know why America is exceptional? Why the United States of America used to be an exceptional country? Because of individual liberty. Because in the United States of America, you could come here no matter where you came from, and if you applied yourself, if you worked hard, you could do anything you wanted to. It wasn't, you don't come here, get into a line, and get on Social Security or disability or some other kind of free government handout, and then tell everyone around you that they need to change the signs to your language from where you came from, and that they need to be culturally sensitive to your needs. You want to be culturally sensitive? Go back to another country. That's not the United States of America. You're like, Paul, why are you getting so angry? Because you and your friends and your neighbors are just letting it happen. Great example. I'm going to give this example and I'm going to leave. I'm not going to leave. You're going to leave. Whatever. Back during the 70s, there was a lot of communist-inspired terrorism in the world. You know what the killing fields were? This little place called Cambodia. When the United States of America basically said, okay, we were winning the actual battles. We were winning the actual war, but we lost the PR war in Vietnam. You guys understand that? So real Vietnam history will show that American soldiers and Marines and sailors and what have you, the Air Force, we were kicking the ever-living crap out of. After the Tet Offensive was a PR loss, but when it came to an actual combat, the VC, after the Tet Offensive, when we went back on the warpath, the VC was essentially destroyed. Most of their leaders were killed or captured. But we lost the PR battle. And the American people, the hippie liberal puke-faced scumbags, forced us to leave. So we left. We created a power vacuum. And what we got was this little thing called the Khmer Rouge. And they went around, and they're communists. Hardcore communists. And they killed something like 2 million people. And it was going on all over Southeast Asia. And so what my local church and many local churches in the United States did is they sponsored refugee families. And one of the refugee families that came actually, and this was a result of the Korean conflict and all the nonsense that was going over there, was a family called the Pin family. And my church sponsored them, and I'm not going to get into all what it takes to sponsor a refugee family, but they came to the United States of America. Father, mother, 2 children, and he was a very skilled at working with small parts. So he opened a watch repair shop. He hired people. This is a guy who came to the United States of America. I can't remember Mr. Pin's name. I'm bad at that. But they had a son named Kim Pin. This is great. Anyway, my point is this. They embraced the United States. This dude was working 12 to 14 hours a day when he first got here. They started a business. They had a thriving business. They actually were able. How crazy is that, Jared? Think about this. In the United States of America today, somebody is a refugee. Would you ever think that a refugee would come to the United States, open a business, bust their ass, and then, because of that ass busting, provide jobs to other people in the United States? That's not even the formula today. The formula is, oh, you need to hurry up and get here so we can get you in line and get you on some kind of a free government cheese program. We don't expect you to actually contribute to the United States. You know what, Jared? Our family, the Markle family, became really close with the Pin family. And their firstborn child in the United States of America was a boy. Do you know what they named it?
I don't know.
Named it Paul.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they did that because it was wasn't a Korean name, it was an American name, and they wanted their firstborn child in the United States of America to have an English or an American type name, and they named him Paul. Oh, I actually forgot about that until I was just talking about this.
That is pretty cool.
My point is this, folks. If you want to be reasonable, you want to be friendly, you want to be whatever, demand more from people. Demand more. Quit sitting quietly by and allowing them to change your country. That's not what American immigration is all about. American immigration is you come here so that you can participate and be exceptional. You don't come here to change the country to the way it was where you came from. You don't come here to force the people that are already here to change their ways to accept you. That's not what it's all about. It's about individual liberty and exceptionalism. And if you don't want to participate in that, go away. I don't want to hear from you. I think most of you don't want to hear from them either. And that is what that's all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today for Student of the Gun Radio. Thank you, of course, to Ben Mookie Thomas for coming on and talking. Thanks to Spikes Tactical for standing up, for forcing the conversation. Sometimes they get so blindly, the leftists and the puke face get so blindly angry that they actually come out and honestly tell you what they think. All right, we will be back tomorrow, I promise, unless the NSA screws up our feed again, and then maybe we won't. But until then, remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.